Well, you know, it's so interesting. You can see the smoke shop behind me. It's sort of that illuminated sign right there. Quiet now, but earlier today, some very frantic moments as these U.S. Marshals attempted to execute this arrest warrant, and everything went south. The search for suspected child molester and fugitive Charles Mozdir ends here. The shootout at this smoke shop in Manhattan's busy West Village.
Mozdir fired upon the officers at very close range, and the officers returned fire.
Members of the U.S. Marshals New York, New Jersey Regional Task Force tracked Mozdir to New York following a tip that came into CNN's The Hunt with John Walsh.
My son sat me down and he said, "Mom, I have something to tell you." And he proceeded to tell me that Charlie had touched him inappropriately.
Mozdir had recently been profiled on the show. One of the officers went inside and identified Mozdir. He was alone, police say, inside that smoke shop, and you can see it. It's the white doorway just past the stop sign. When members of the task force entered, that's when the shooting began.
During the exchange of gunfire, the detective and two marshals were wounded. Charles Mozdir was shot dead.
Police say Mozdir had grown a beard and had no intention of being taken quietly.
A .32 caliber handgun was recovered at the scene. 20 rounds of additional ammunition were found in Mozdir's pockets.
Alexis Green lives down the block from the smoke shop and took these photos immediately after the shooting.
What I first noticed was a rather large crowd, and then some heavily armed police officers with helmets on, detectives, ambulance workers.
The man who you saw being wheeled out, you noticed that there were tattoos on his arm. Yeah. Did he look like an officer?
Yeah, I really didn't get a chance to see if it was a suspect or an officer.
One U.S. Marshal shot in the leg, another injured in the arm. The NYPD detective assigned to the task force shot in the abdomen. None of the injuries are believed to be life-threatening.
Effectively, where you can see is where the round entered. The round was recovered in the vest.
Mozdir was last seen 2 years ago in San Diego after being accused of molesting a friend's 7-year-old son. At the time, police searched his home and found a cell phone with images of child porn and bestiality. His abandoned car was found soon after in Georgia, the license plate removed, and Mozdir seemingly disappeared. The tip came from a woman in Florida, somebody who appears to have been close to the suspect. We are told that after the shooting, EMTs tried to resuscitate Mozdir. He was put on a gurney. They tried CPR on him. One witness that I spoke to just a little while ago said that he had grown his hair, he had a big bushy beard, and he had tattoos up and down his arms and his legs. It does not appear that any of the efforts by those EMT workers were able to resuscitate him on that gurney, and he was taken away. Don?
Hey, Deb, you know, John Walsh is here, and we're going to talk with him as well. But I have a question for you. You have great police sources. Police were aware going into this today that Charles Mozdir had been featured on The Hunt and was considered armed and dangerous. How did that affect their approach today, Deb?
Well, absolutely. They were on high alert. I've gone out on some of these stings with them, and they are very, very cautious. They always go in with a very clear head, knowing that the suspect that they're after could be armed and could be dangerous. There were reports that, in fact, that Mozdir did have guns with him, so they knew that going in. But it appears that as they began walking towards the location, towards the smoke shop, that he got tipped off, he got spooked, and that's when he seemed to react. And so right now, detectives are looking at a lot of the surveillance video from inside the shop, from around the neighborhood, to see exactly how all of this played out. Mozdir did have a gun or reach for a gun, a .32 caliber, and he began shooting. He began opening fire. We are told that he got off about 5 rounds as far as this. But yeah, these guys are professionals. They do this all the time, going through doors. They don't know what's on the other side. They were aware that this could be a very dangerous situation that they were walking into.